Gloria Steinem, a feminist icon to many, including myself, once said, "Women may be the one group that grows more radical with age." This quote rings truest in regard to my grandmother, Thelma Shore Baker, who at 96 is my personal feminist icon. As someone who has sought to radicalize and empower me, Thelma is a woman who's been carving her own path since childhood. As a first-generation Latvian Jewish American woman, Thelma encountered obstacles in her childhood that challenged her to fight for more. She'd be the first to tell you that those obstacles were what paved the way for her remarkable life. The challenges that shaped her became the tales of fortitude that have in turn shaped me. That's why today I'm going to pay tribute to my grandmother by highlighting her commitment to education and community. What I find truly inspiring about Thelma is her commitment to education not only in the traditional sense, but beyond high school and college. To this day, my grandmother attends classes in everything from poetry to the fundamentals of art. A determined and diligent student now, it wasn't always easy for her throughout her education. As a daughter of immigrants, her school life was littered with roadblocks at a young age. What we call attention deficit disorder today wasn't recognized back in her high school days, which would be in the late 1930s. So when my grandmother, ready to begin the 9th grade, started exhibiting what they would call unruly behavior, was held back, forced to repeat the 8th grade. What might have injured the confidence of a young student only kept Thelma persevering. She began teaching herself the 8th grade curriculum and ended the year top of her class. This defining moment of her early life became a catalyst for her commitment to education in her life to come. She went on to put herself through secretarial school in New York City, then on to University of New Mexico, University of Miami, and finally Penn State to receive her doctorate in education. Not bad for someone who had to repeat the 8th grade. She and my grandfather Paul's commitment to education went beyond the confines of their world at Penn State, however. They shared their passion for anthropology with eager graduate students in Peru, where they cultivated a community built on studying and understanding those who lived long before them. Thelma still hears from many of those graduate students who continuously thank her for the knowledge and opportunities that she shared so readily. Lastly, as someone who has struggled with my education in my adult years, I look to my grandmother as a guiding light. Her triumphs early on and her continued thirst for knowledge even now is awe-inspiring, proving that learning has no age limit. It's taken me years to get back to college and finish my degree, but my grandmother has been one of my biggest supporters throughout my rocky educational journey, adamant that age only nurtures further curiosity. Watching her continue her education with so much gusto has greatly inspired me. As I've grown older, I've learned that cultivating a loving community is the key to a happy life. Whether that community is built with your blood family, your friends, your co-workers, your classmates, or neighbors. I have throughout my life been in awe of the community that my grandmother Thelma has built wherever she goes. When I was around 12 years old, my grandparents moved from Hawaii to North Carolina, where my family and I lived, to start the next phase of their life. Never having lived in the South made for an interesting transition. Their retirement home was lovely, but different than anything my parents had ever experienced. However, my grandmother, born and raised in Boston, had never been shy. What some might have viewed as a challenge, she saw as an opportunity. A few weeks into living into their new home, we had visited my grandmother, and to no one's surprise, she had become the belle of the ball. We walked her down to the communal dining room and were stopped by what seems like every passerby wanting to chat and meet her grandchildren. Within a matter of months, she had found every Democrat in the facility eager to talk politics and figure out a communal voting plan. Old age didn't stop her from getting anyone she could involved in the things she was so passionate about. But about a year after moving into their new home, my grandfather passed away. A memorial was hosted by their retirement home, and it felt like every resident was in attendance. The room was filled with her community, and I was in awe even then. My grandmother continues to live in that very same facility 13 years later, surrounded by the dear friends she's made, both residents and employees alike. Since the pandemic, though, her community has been hit hard. Dear friends she had been accustomed to seeing every day were isolated from her, but the will of my grandmother is unstoppable. She coordinated dates with her friends through the screens of their windows. They still watched movies together, but separate, everyone watching from TVs in their own rooms and commentating over the phone. Somehow she even managed to coordinate voting plans for everyone in the wing of her facility, even those who weren't extremely mobile. I visited her this summer, 6 feet apart, masked of course, and I saw firsthand how her community has grown even closer in these strange and messy times. Her friends snapped pictures of our meetup through the window, insistent upon capturing this moment, even if we couldn't be physically close. A facility worker allowed us 10 extra minutes of time together because he was such a fan of Thelma, as he put it. Seeing the community she's built and maintained, even in a pandemic, has inspired me to do the same, which I think is invaluable in a time where everything feels so far away. There are so many things that make my grandmother, Thelma Shore Baker, so special. However, her commitment to education and community are the things that I find truly inspiring. Because those things have kept her uniquely happy, even into her 96th year of life. Being around her, you can't help but feel lucky, even if just a little bit of her rubs off on you. She's a testament to the saying, anyone who keeps learning stays young. To pay tribute to her, I'd like to cheers to her life in the way that she would, with the classic Jewish toast.